I think they're going to indict him on lying to Congress.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you another suggestion. You should put all those guys in a Rico case. Rico isn't used enough because people are afraid of it. They think it's too complicated. I actually found juries understand it.
Yeah.
It creates a structure in which you can explain a crime. If you're a political figure and you're using language like that right now, you may be covered by free speech, but you sure, as far as I'm concerned, you're morally inciting murder.
Did you actually break a vertebrae? Was there a fracture?
I did. I have a broken vertebrae.
Come on.
Broken back.
So you're breaking your back for the American people is what you're saying.
This is Unshaken and Unafraid with Joe Pags.
Been a while since I talked to this incredible man, America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. You know, there's so much going on. The past couple of months, for him personally and for all of us, both nationally and internationally, have been crazy. I got to talk to the man himself. Rudy, how are you? It's good to see you, my friend.
I'm good, Joe. I'm recovering very quickly.
Yeah, you know, I see you still have the brace on. Now, I heard the story. You stopped and you were being good Samaritan. You were helping somebody who looked like she was in a domestic violence thing. It ended up, it looks like the guy was actually the victim of it, and somehow you got rear-ended after leaving the scene. I'm confused. How are you? I mean, you feel okay?
I really shouldn't laugh, but it is actually Ted and I were driving home from a baseball game.
Right.
We're in New Hampshire for the summer. We were driving home from a minor league baseball game, and we see this woman who is frantically waving like a white something or other, and to stop a car.
Right.
So I asked Ted was driving. I said, Ted, pull over. We pull over. She comes up to my window, and she says that she needs help. I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was being abused, being beaten. It turns out we called the cops. All of a sudden, an ambulance shows up, and I said to the cop, "What do we have the ambulance for?" Hey, you haven't seen the guy. The cop said,
"Wow,
you got to see what she did to the guy." And then he said, "Under her fingernails, didn't you notice all the blood and skin?"
Wow. So she was the aggressor.
They arrested her, and they took him to the hospital. Then we pulled away. We circled back, and as we're going past it, I imagine this young woman was rubbernecking, and all of a sudden at 65, 70 miles an hour, she smashed into the back of the car. And I had the seatbelt on, but I got like seatbelt backlash.
Oh no.
I went like that. My body went like that.
So you got this brace now that's going from front to back. Did you actually break a vertebrae? Was there a fracture?
I did. I have a broken vertebrae.
Come on.
Broken back.
So you're breaking your back for the American people is what you're saying. Quite literally. But you're okay. You're laughing. I see you on podcasts all the time. You were on the air like 2 days later. So, I mean, how are you physically feeling? Okay?
I'm okay. I mean, I'm pretty much okay now.
Yeah.
First 3 or 4 weeks, it was pretty darn painful. It's been about 3 weeks now. But now it's beginning to settle in.
Okay.
Still have to be a little careful about traveling for a week or two more. But other than that, you know, I can make it down here to do the show, and I can drive around in a car.
But you're not ready to play baseball right now.
No, I'm not, or extreme boxing, right?
Yeah, don't do any of that either. It is America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Thank God you're okay. You know, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was texting you and the doctor and Ted and everybody else. I'm like, what's going on? What can we do?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you know, you say the word, and I'm always going to be there for you. I want to talk about the political climate that we're in right now, and I want to start with what just happened yesterday. We want to get into Charlie. I want to definitely talk about our friend Bernie Carrick in a second, too. But I want to talk about the political violence that's going on. ICE, you know that I'm in Texas. 3 ICE attacks in Texas in just the past few months. You have 3 facilities, one in McAllen, one in Alvarado, one in Dallas now yesterday. And there are people just showing up and shooting the place up. One of them was so organized, Rudy, that they set off a bunch of fireworks or firecrackers to make it sound like there was a disturbance outside to draw the ICE agents out so they could attack them. Rudy, are we looking at something organized? You would know better than anybody. Or is this some lone wolf stuff that we're just seeing a whole bunch of?
It's organized. It's organized, and it's been organized for quite some time. It's really probably not planned way back in 2020, but it's an offshoot of what they developed then. You know, they're opportunistic. They take advantage of opportunities. ICE became a target really, you know, when Biden started abusing them and accusing them of whipping people, and then they weren't, and he didn't apologize.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember, of course, how many Democrats used to make. This is before Trump was even in office. They would talk about ICE agents being Nazis
Yes.
and torturing people, and any number of Democrats are for the abolition of ICE. They even ran on that back in like 2022.
Yes.
And then the comments they've been making recently have gone over the chart. You never want to too loosely charge people with conduct based on the things that politicians say, Republicans or Democrats, because you never know.
Right.
This is about as clear as I've ever seen it. I mean, you and I both knew this was going to happen a year ago.
Yes.
When they say things like they're Nazi agents, they torture people, they abuse people, they deserve to be fired. They're painted as if they're some kind of demons. And of course, these are just regular law enforcement. These are federal law enforcement agents, high quality, excellent agency. They do very, very good work. Until now, they never had a reputation for any kind of hostility or brutality
Never.
or corruption. I worked with them forever. In fact, I was in charge of them when I was in the Reagan administration. They were some of the easiest people to manage. I mean, they're just perfectly professional. And there's been a target on their back now for about a year and a half. I mean, 1,000% increase in attack. I never heard of that.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And it's caused by AOC, and it's caused by Biden, and it's caused by Kamala Harris, and it's caused by, you just name it, Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
And they might as well say, go out and kill the ICE agents.
Rudy, let's do a deep dive into what you just said, because you and I both believe in the Constitution. We both believe in the First Amendment. But if you say somebody is Hitler to Trump, there's some luna's going to say, well, it would be good to kill Hitler, wouldn't it? Or somebody is a Nazi. Well, it'd be good to kill the Nazis. Somebody is a black coat or a brown shirt or whatever the hell they're calling them. Rudy, if you call somebody those names, that you and I would go back to 1936 now and take out Hitler if we could to stop him from doing what he did. So there's some little mushy-brained person out there, and it's happened several times recently, and it's not slowing down, who really believe I'm killing the bad guy. They think they're doing something righteous because of the speech that's being used. Can we do anything about somebody calling somebody a killer? Trump is a killer. That makes somebody think we should kill him. Or is that free speech is free speech? You can't do anything about it.
It's close, isn't it? It's close
It
to
is.
free speech.
It's very confusing.
It's also close because there are any number of people who use those words without thinking, and they use it loosely.
Yes.
I mean, there are people who say, I want him dead, and they don't mean that.
Right.
If you calm them down, do you really mean that? No. He's like Hitler. No, I don't really. On the other hand, we now have a group of people that really mean it.
Yeah.
And they know exactly. If you're a political figure and you're using language like that right now, you may be covered by free speech, but you sure, as far as I'm concerned, you're morally inciting murder.
100%. I couldn't
if you
agree
did
more.
it 5
But we
years
can't
ago-
charge him morally, though, Ken. We can't charge him morally.
You'd have to go pretty darn far to charge them.
Yeah.
You'd have to show that they were in front of a crowd and the crowd was ready to go, and then that was the thing that ignited an incitement. Except for January 6th, when those people were charged with incitement and they didn't do a damn thing.
Right.
And they took Trump off the ballot for an insurrection that never took place.
Right.
Nobody
Right.
ever had a gun, and he never said insurrection. But that's okay if they can charge us with it. You and I don't have free speech,
Right.
according to the New York Times and Joe Biden and the Democrats.
Well, you do realize that I haven't grown at all on Facebook. I've got 387,000 on Facebook. It hasn't grown in 5 years. Do you know why that hasn't happened, Rudy? I interviewed you. That's why I interviewed you and put you on Facebook, and they shut me down. So you're right. We don't have free speech, but we also don't want to go to the dark side and start saying all speech can be attacked. We don't want to do that either. So is there something to what the president's talking about? He said the word Rico a few times recently, and you're the king of Rico. You're the guy who figured out how to use it. Without you, we don't even know that Rico exists, and it can be useful. So can we go after the funders of Antifa? Can we go after the funders of fill in the blank?
100%.
Okay, so let's take it from there. If President Trump called and said, Rudy, take care of whoever's funding these bad guys and bring a Rico case, tell me how that would look.
That would be an excellent idea. in naming them a domestic, Antifa, a domestic terrorist organization, and honestly doesn't add any legal tool that we don't have already. Foreign terrorist organization adds gigantic legal tools to tie up all their money. So if you want to go after their money, you have to charge them with RICO. And you can use civil or criminal. If you don't think you have quite the proof for a criminal case, you can use civil RICO. I used it against the Teamsters Union, and I used it against Las Vegas and the Central States Pension Fund to take them apart, separate them. And Joe DeGeneva ran all that for five or 6 years. And it was probably one of the best things I did. I mean, we separated them from, what you see in casino.
Wow.
But we did that. No criminal convictions, all civil.
So I want to stop you because that's crazy. So instead of bringing crimes or actual criminal indictments, you go after their money and you shut them down that way. So what do you do? You go after them civilly and say, what, you owe me $50 million to shut them down?
Yes. You're showing they committed crimes, but by a lesser standard of proof, by a preponderance of the evidence or clear and convincing evidence, not by a reasonable doubt. And as a result of that, you can seize their money and hold up their money. Now, if you get a criminal conviction, you can do the same thing, but it takes a lot longer. It's harder to do. Some of them might not get reached by it, just a few. But I think RICO is an excellent tool to be used against these gangs, against the cartels. And I think you're going to see it being used. I've actually been asked by some people to give them some advice on how to do it. And it's pretty darn simple. It isn't simple. It isn't simple. I shouldn't say that.
It's straightforward, though. It's easy to understand.
But the concept for any good lawyer is just one step beyond a conspiracy case.
With the New York crime families, that was all criminal, though, right? Or did you do both?
The crime families, I did both. I'm pretty sure they were almost all. Maybe the sanitation network we did as a civil. We took over the sanitation industry in New York, and threw them out. Put a commission in place.
Right.
Did the same thing with the fish market. Now, I'll tell you, it's civil, but the day we took over the fish market, they burned it down.
Wow.
So we may be civil, but they're not.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's Rudy Giuliani. Go and check out his podcast. He's up every single night. The man is tireless in working for the American people and getting truth out there. When it comes to RICO, if you don't mind, I'm gonna very, very shortly just give it sort of a table of contents of it, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. And I learned this all from you. The mob boss doesn't pull the trigger. He doesn't actually do the killing or do the drug dealing or do the fill in the blank thing. Doesn't do the racketeering. He has the captain tell somebody else who's a soldier who tells somebody else who's on the street. And then you're 5 layers away from the actual person sitting at the head of the table. So he thought that he was completely clean because how does Giuliani get me? I didn't do it. I was in a conversation. I have nothing to do. So you literally can charge everybody in the family for that one crime because it came down the line. Is that how it works?
Correct. As long as you show that the family was in existence for quite some period of time. Theoretically, you need only 2 RICO acts, 2 actual crimes. But I wouldn't recommend doing it with just 2 crimes. You're probably not going to win. You need to show, the most important thing you have to show is a long-term criminal enterprise that acts like a business more than a crime.
Okay.
They have people in charge. They're continually committing the same crime. They're either profiting from it or they're gaining political advantage like they do in terrorist groups. The main thing is it's got to go on for some period of time. And the benefit of RICO, the reason Professor Blakey created it, is so you can take their resources away. His theory after the hearings that were held in Congress, after Kefauver and a couple of the others was, we'll be prosecuting these mafia guys for 100 years. And they'll just replace each other. So you get rid of one guy, right? And somebody else comes along and they're just as rich or richer. So what we really have to do is to take their resources from them. The way you'd want it from a terrorist group, you want to take their guns away. You want to take their bombs away. And you want to take the money that Obama was sending them away.
Yes. Rudy, how did you know to use RICO? What made you think, let me look into RICO. I might be able to use this to get rid of the crime families. And I know that. I thought it was like Joe Bonanno. Somebody wrote a book, and you said, okay, you just told me everything that you guys have done. I can now make a RICO case. Was it him?
Joe Bonanno put it in my head, but I first learned about Rico because I knew Professor Blakey quite well when he was writing it. I read his books. I had the chance to go to lectures of his like 12, 15 years before. So it had been in my mind for quite some time. And I was one of the few people that had really paid attention to the genesis of it. And it is not just for organized crime. Professor Blakey did it for anything that becomes the business of crime. So that the only way you're going to stop it is by dissolving the business, not just putting the person in jail.
Right. So he writes it. You're involved. You see him writing it. You learn about it. How long until you actually started utilizing it? When you said to yourself, "This makes sense in this case."
Oh, it took about 8 years.
Was it? Okay.
It took about 8 or 10 years. It had been utilized very modestly, not very effectively. I think maybe because I was there at the genesis, I understood it better
right.
Than other people. And I understood how perfect it was for the mafia, and how perfect it is for groups like Antifa and these terrorist groups, because they're just another version of the mafia. They're just engaged in other kinds of crimes and horrible activities. So but they are all based on, remember, they're all based on money.
Yeah.
Those groups are only dangerous because they have money.
Right. So let's take it to 2020, the summer of love. Let's take it to 2025, where we're seeing this violent outbreak as well. Let's say, I won't say that it's George Soros. Let's say hypothetically somebody named Smorge Smoros is funding and financing anarchy in the streets, Rudy. Can you bring a RICO case if you find out that entity is the one that's funding all of this garbage that's going on, taking away our safety?
Well, sure. Let's look at the 2020 riots.
Okay.
So it's alleged that a certain group of people paid for those riots.
Right.
Smoros or whatever,
Right.
Now, if you get past the first, the second, and the third riot, and they continue to supply the money, you now have the proof that you need. You don't have to have it written down somewhere. So, you give money to Black Lives Matter and Antifa.
Right.
They have a riot and they kill 2 people.
Right.
Then they have a riot, they don't kill anybody. Then that next week they have a riot and they kill somebody. And then another one. And all during that period of 28 or 30 riots, you're giving them money. By the time we get to the second or third or the fourth, we have enough evidence to prove by circumstantial evidence that you knew the purpose of it, unless there's something wrong with you.
And at the end of that summer, as you know, there were 26 or 27 murders because of those riots. As you know, they burned down buildings and Minneapolis was gone. It was decimated. As you know, they were bringing pallets of bricks so that the rioters could use them. They burned down a police precinct in Minneapolis. So you would take all that evidence together and say, now we can charge the head of the snake?
100%.
Wow.
I mean, really, after the second one, you could probably do it. Depends on how careful you want to be, or how fast you want to pull the trigger, because people are getting hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the difficult choices that good prosecutors have to make, and the FBI. But I do think RICO isn't used enough because people are afraid of it. They think it's too complicated. I actually found juries understand it.
Yeah.
It creates a structure in which you can explain a crime. And if you have a decent amount of evidence, and in all these cases, like the case against Biden would have been like a breeze.
Yeah. You had all the evidence, too. You had everything.
It'd have been a question of leaving out half the evidence, so you didn't bore the jury.
It's Rudy Giuliani, amazing America's mayor. We love you like crazy. You mentioned the FBI. Let me talk about the FBI. The statute of limitations is going to run out on James Comey and some of this stuff. Already, I think the FISA warrant stuff, I think the statute is over for them, which sucks because we know he lied to the FISA court. We know that. You helped to create the FISA court. Well, it was. I mean, they were doing this circular reporting to get the warrants re-upped. By their own reporting, they were putting news stories in AOL News and Yahoo News and then reporting back like it was a brand new thing. They lied to the FISA judges, and nobody's going to pay for that, Rudy?
I think they're going to indict him on lying to Congress.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you another suggestion. You should put all those guys in a RICO case. The enterprise existed for about 4 or 5 years, and each one of those frame-ups is a separate RICO act. But they're all for the same purpose and the same people. to destroy Donald Trump. It begins with, let's stop him from being president by paying $1.5 million for a phony report on Russian collusion.
Right.
Then when we find out from Strzok that there's no there, which Comey knows before the election's over, Comey goes ahead and the FBI goes ahead and they continue the investigation. Now they're trying to use phony evidence to take out a duly elected president. And they lie about that. And then they make up the conversation with the Ukrainian president, and they use Biden's conversation, Shifty Schiff does, and substitutes it for Trump's, which all you have to do is prove it. I got to correct one other thing. I heard it on Newsmax.
Sure.
And I actually called up. I hope they got it. They said, oh, well, Shifty Schiff will be able to get away with it because of the speech and debate clause. Shifty Schiff, everything he said in Congress, he said on television because he's a big mouth.
Yeah.
I was thinking very, very seriously when I represented the president of suing him, and some of the congressmen we couldn't sue because they were careful. Whatever they said in Congress. They can say anything they want in Congress. He repeated everything and more every time he'd go on television with his stupid face and grin.
It's such a good point. Let me stop you there because I actually, when I saw what AOC said.
We used to call him when I was a U.S. attorney, my guys would say, oh, he's dead meat.
Well, he should be legally anyway.
I meant legally, please. I meant legally.
Of course, you have to say that. If you don't say that, then we're starting violence. But having said that, AOC the other day came out and defamed Charlie Kirk and his whole family. And I said, that's it. I think Erica Kirk should sue her. But you're right. She did it in the body, in the chamber, in Congress. So she can say anything she wants and can't be sued. So my suggestion was what you just said. Get her on some MSNBC show to say the same thing. And then Erica Kirk and the family can go after her. So Schiff was so stupid with the Russia collusion stuff. He wasn't smart enough just to say it in the chamber. He said it everywhere, and you have him dead to rights. So can he still be sued? Is this a criminal thing that he knew he had to know he was lying? He had no evidence. He kept saying he was going to have the evidence and show everybody. And are we talking in the Rico case, Rudy? You got my brain going. You see it going? Are we talking about Brennan, Comey? Are we talking about Obama, Biden back in 2016? Are we talking about McCabe?
Obama's
Is it everybody?
Obama's the boss. Obama was sitting there in the White House in December.
Yeah.
As he's going out of office, he makes sure all the pieces are in place. And his knowledge of it goes back a year earlier at a White House meeting. That's pretty well documented. Biden is part of it at that meeting. Brennan is at that meeting. Clapper's at that meeting. James Cardinal Comey is at that meeting.
Loretta Lynch was there. I mean, Susan Rice is probably there. You got a lot of people in that meeting.
Yeah.
And it was 2 days difference. On election day, they said no collusion, no interference, nothing happened. 2 days later, suddenly we have to change the narrative, and they started leaking it to the press. It turns out they did collude, and he might be working with Russia. That's a problem, Rudy.
Yeah, it's a big problem. Also, they knew that Hillary was colluding with Ukraine.
Yes.
She was getting that information from the Ukraine. That's where Steele hadn't been in Russia for 17 years. So we actually used the Ukrainians who were familiar. It kind of ended now, but you used to have two types of Ukrainians: Ukrainians favorable to the West, Ukrainians favorable to Russia.
Wow.
One of the things Putin did is make almost every Ukrainian favorable to the West now.
Right.
By killing so many people.
Right.
But there used to be pretty much an even split in Ukraine. Even when they would have an election, it would be like 48-48, and somebody would win by cheating.
Right, right.
Them,
no, exactly
usually.
Right. So it's all interconnected. But I think Obama will say, well, the Supreme Court told Trump that that the president's immune when he's doing an official act. He'll say calling that meeting was an official act. Can he get away with it that way?
I don't know if the Supreme Court would go as far as that with official act. I mean, the definition is pretty ambiguous.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone seems to feel that they don't mean like the worst kinds of criminal acts.
Right.
Now we're talking about acts that are getting close to treason.
Right.
Trying to remove a lawfully elected president, trying to change an election. But there is another way to deal with Prince Obama. And that is, it went on after he was out of office.
That's a good point.
And you have to disassociate yourself from a conspiracy. You are responsible for a conspiracy, even if you have nothing to do with it, unless you affirmatively leave it. Plus, he did make comments after he was president to support that Trump was guilty.
It's such a good point.
So
Rudy,
I don't know that he escaped it. I'd prosecute him. I test the immunity part.
Yeah.
And then I would test it can't possibly be that a president is immune for the rest of his life.
No, I wouldn't think so.
For committing crimes. That'd be just ridiculous.
Well, there were no more official acts once you leave office. I didn't even think about that angle. What you just said makes such perfect sense. But he leaves office on January 20th. That's it. If he says another word about it, he's on the hook.
Yes. And then, of course, let's not let him off too easily. Let's do a grand jury investigation first. We don't know what people are going to say when you start getting them the rat. I mean, no one's really, the congressional investigations don't really produce many rats because they can't put you in prison.
Right.
How do you think I made my cases? I mean, looking at a case like this, with the number of people that are in it, with the moral or lack of moral fortitude that these people have, if we can't crack a third of those people, I'll leave my hat.
You know, I was going to ask you about that because so far nobody's turned as far as we know. We don't know that.
Because nobody...
Well, James Clapper, Rudy, is missing. James Clapper's missing. It's like he might be talking to somebody. Suddenly he just disappeared. Brennan's still out there. Obama's still out there. Comey is still out there trying to sell books and talking about Taylor Swift. You know, so,
well,
but James Clapper, what do you think James Clapper is up to? I haven't seen him.
I don't know what he's up to. I don't know that James Cardinal Comey wants to spend 10, 15 years in jail.
You think he would turn
like
that? He truly believes he's the righteous one and all. You see the way he walks around.
That's why I call him that.
Cardinal Comey.
He's a sanctimonious
jerk.
Phony.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't look. I hired him. So
what's the matter with you? So when you hire a guy like that, obviously he's got all sorts of potential. But what do you think goes into somebody's mind that you get this God complex where James Comey literally thinks he's the arbiter of right. No matter what he says, he's on the right side. Everybody else is wrong. He really thinks he's right, doesn't he?
I don't know him that well. That it could very well be true that he actually believes he's right. Or he could just be an extraordinary. There's the other possibility that people that know him who don't like him will say he's extraordinarily ambitious in a very, very bad way.
Yeah.
And therefore would do anything for his movement up the ladder. So we'll have to see. But he's the one that should have been prosecuted 4 years ago. Should have been prosecuted for the FISA. And I actually think, Pags, had a couple of those been done, not a lot of them, a couple of them. Him, Brennan, Clapper, the Struck and his girlfriend.
Page, yeah.
I don't think we'd have had as much trouble because they don't want to go to jail. These are not people that, I mean, they have it in mind to be princes and kings and princesses and, you know, they're here now, they're in politics and they should be millionaires. They all become millionaires.
Yeah.
Look at the one running for governor in New Jersey. She had nothing.
She's got a lot of dirt.
5 years later, she's worth $7 million. And they ask her, how did you make the money? She said, I don't know. What, the fairy godmother came in and put it in her account?
Yeah, you know, and the allegation is that she cheated her way through military school, too. So, I mean...
this could get her elected by a landslide in New Jersey when I think about New Jersey politics.
Well, that's true. It is Rudy Giuliani, of course. Go follow me. It's still RudyGiulianiCS.com, right? Should be.
Yes, it is.
Okay, go there. Go check him out on X every night. He's on all the platforms every night. An amazing show. I learn from his show every night, and then I steal from him, and I use it on my show the next day, and I look smart.
No, you do not. We steal from you just as much.
Well, we appreciate you. So it's your belief somebody's going to be held accountable here. Let me ask you about...
I believe that, first of all, if I were the president, I'm probably even more impatient than he is.
Yeah.
I probably would have lost my temper. They hadn't done it 2 months ago. Yeah. I might have been wrong. Because I always think things should be done faster than they probably should be done. But I think the president's little gentle push, it's now a fait accompli. It's going to get done.
Well, I believe so as well. When he posts on Truth, Pam, and then goes along with what she should be doing.
Yeah. You don't want...
Yeah. I don't want him truthing about me.
And by the way, Joe, this is in order to have justice done.
Yes.
They framed us. We didn't commit any crimes. These are real crimes we're talking. You can't compare the two things when they say, oh, we're getting even for what they did to. Nobody has to get even for what you did to me. People have to have justice for what they did.
Yes, exactly right. It is Rudy Giuliani. Can Merrick Garland be held to account? The guy raiding Mar-a-Lago, he knew all about it. He was doing that as a political hit job. They might have been trying to get the paperwork from Crossfire Hurricane.
Certainly a serious.
Can you hold him?
I don't know if, like Comey and some of the others, the facts are right on the table and they're staring you in the face. It's an embarrassment. In the case of Garland, they're not. But should he be the subject of an investigation? Of course. I mean, how far did it go in their investigating Catholics going to Latin Mass?
Right.
I am told it went very far. Which is, I mean, you're doing that. I mean, my goodness, you're putting us back in the Middle Ages.
Or investigating parents showing up at the school board meeting, which they did. He made the FBI do that.
And when your son-in-law is making a fortune in a business that teaches DEI and gender sensitivity, and all, so man, you're producing like a fortune for him.
It is Rudy Giuliani, RudyGiulianiCS.com. Of course, America's mayor. We're so glad that you're on the mend. Let me ask you about Charlie Kirk. I knew Charlie Kirk. We were friends. We texted back and forth. Was on my show 4 different times. Just tell me your thoughts about Charlie Kirk. At 31 years old, he did more than I think I'll probably ever accomplish, and I'm trying my best. This guy is bringing an entire generation into an understanding that there are two sides to every coin. Just give me your thoughts about Charlie.
I think I felt his loss the way I have my relatives or somebody extraordinarily. I knew Charlie. I knew him well. I knew him before. I think he even started the program with Foster Freeze. But he wasn't like a close personal friend.
Right.
But I think I'm more hurt than I have been for the loss of personal friends.
Yeah.
It's both what he was doing, the bravery and the courage of it, and also just the unbelievable tragedy of such a wonderful 31-year-old man with such a wonderful wife and 2 babies. And oh my goodness. And then all of the way they disgraced our country by the things they said about it,
yes,
including this bum who's on television. And Disney puts him on.
Yeah.
I tell people, I don't understand why anybody would go to Disney now that they put the guy back on the air. Costs too much money anyway. It isn't even the same rodent that it used to be.
No.
It used to be a good rodent. Now it's more like a rat.
Yeah.
And I just had a friend go to a Disney, relatively well-off people, not people that are poor. All they do is complain about how much money it costs. They said, we might as well take it out of a mortgage before we go there.
Yeah. No, it's true. You can't afford to take your family to Disney anymore. I know you're absolutely right about that. When it comes to Jimmy Kimmel, who we're talking about, he came out the other night and fake cried and then lied about what he said. He said he didn't say what we thought he said, and he was sorry if we thought that he said something he didn't say. Rudy, he literally came out and said, the MAGA crowd is trying to pretend like the guy wasn't one of them. In other words, he was saying the guy who killed Charlie Kirk was one of us, which would have been the dumbest thing for one of us to ever do. That doesn't make any sense. And we're not violent people like that anyway. He was dead wrong on the facts. All he had to do was come out, even fake crying, and say, what I said was factually incorrect and I shouldn't have said it. He couldn't even bring himself to say that, Rudy. Would you put this guy on the air? He's not, first of all, he's not funny. But I wouldn't even want to associate with him. I wouldn't want to be neighbors with him, much less watch him on TV.
We must have done it for a purpose then, Pags, which is to get us killed. I mean, you got to be living in some kind of weird world if you don't realize if you say these kinds of things, you're going to get people killed. They've got a bunch of crazy maniacs out there running around that are willing to kill you over stuff like this, whether they direct it, order it, or they're creating the atmosphere for it. This last one in Dallas is about as clear as it can be.
Yes.
That this is created by the insanity they've created about the poor ICE agents. These men aren't Gestapo. They're law enforcement officers. These are brave men and women who put their lives at risk to keep our country safe. Even if you assume that some of the people that come in illegally are okay, you got to understand we got an awful lot of animals that come in illegally. Rape, murder,
yes,
sell drugs, human trafficking. We lead the world in human trafficking now because of that. They're dealing with people as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than the FBI, DEA, the police departments. These are Maduro's letting his maniac killers out.
Yes.
I mean, I had to deal with that with the Mariolitos. I don't think in all the experience I had with crime, I don't think I've ever seen any people that were more dangerous than the Mariolitos. These agents are extraordinarily brave, and particularly like in a place like Texas, and until Abbott came along and brought in, which was a wonderful thing that he did. He did two things for which he should get a great award. One, he used the National Guard and said to hell with it. And when he put the wire mesh in the river,
right,
and Biden went to court, had it declared illegal, but never went and got an order. So it's never been removed. Abbott just left it there.
Well, they tried to remove it, Rudy, and they actually brought in, they were making Border Patrol and DHS remove it, and every inch they removed, Abbott and Patrick, the lieutenant governor, put it back. They like doubled it. They said, we've got more wire than you have, loaders. And I'm glad that you brought up the ICE stuff again, because we've got the same guy, Jimmy Kimmel, that we were just talking about, just earlier this year, was literally calling them the Gestapo. He was calling ICE Nazis. He was saying they're abducting and kidnapping people, innocent people, in the streets who are selling, I think he said, ices out of an ice cream truck or something. The guy has been lying about it nonstop. But again, it goes into the psyche of these weak little men, like who did Butler, PA, with President Trump. The weak little guy who did this thing to Charlie Kirk now. The weak little guy that did this thing yesterday at ICE. Again, I don't want to restrict free speech, but these people are almost like...
That isn't even a matter...
They're inciting it.
That's a matter of content on television.
Right.
You and I own a television station.
Yes.
There's a guy on there that we find out is encouraging people to attack little children.
Right.
Maybe he has a right, free speech to talk about how he thinks attacking children is okay. I don't know. But we sure as hell don't have to keep him on our television station.
Right. No, that's a great point. He could say it in his front yard if he wants. He can't say it on my airwaves. He can't say it as our employee. So why do you think ABC capitulated? And by the way, there are owners of dozens of ABC stations who will not put him back on. And thank God for them, because poker's gone up. But why would ABC capitulate? He was losing money for them already because of the writers possibly going on strike, because Hollywood said you can't take away his speech. Why did they give in? They have a real opportunity here, Rudy.
If I could explain it, I'd straighten it all out.
Yeah.
I think they either are communists or they're brainwashed, and it's either money, communism.
Can't be money.
The morality is gone. Morality left, I think, when we took God out of America.
Right. No, I agree.
Which I thought Sunday was beautiful.
When that's something, God was back, wasn't he? God was back.
I thought it was the first time we really aggressively put God back. I mean, the president is putting everything else back, but that may be the most important. But these stations have every right to fire people who say things that are against their standards, that are, suppose somebody got on television and just started cursing.
Right.
Just started cursing. The whole show was one curse after another. You'd be thrown off television.
Yes.
No, you're not going to get arrested for that in the street, but you can get thrown off television.
And by the way, the Supreme Court literally said employers have the right to restrict your rights if you decide to go to work for them. Jimmy Kimmel doesn't have to work for Disney and ABC. He can do it at City Hall. He can do it in the middle of the street, as you said. He can do it in his front yard. But he has no right. That's a privilege to be working for somebody. And
accusing someone in a highly charged murder like that, absolutely, deliberately, falsely.
Yes.
In a situation where you could put that group in peril of being killed, that's a pretty damn good reason to fire you, whether you do it to the left, the right, or the in-between.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's Rudy Giuliani.
That's the guy you don't want. That's the guy you don't want rotting up your television station.
100%. And they were losing money anyway. They had no reason to stand behind him, but I think they were afraid.
That I don't understand.
It's Rudy Giuliani.
Somebody
CS.
must be somebody subsidizing him.
Well, it has to be. Because they had no reason to bring him back on. They had a great opportunity to say, we're going to save some money now. We're going to stop losing money in this guy. And he gave us a good reason to do it. It's Rudy Giuliani, CS, America's mayor. Let me finish with this. I first interviewed Bernie Kerik in 2007, I think. I think I was in for Glenn Beck on CNN Headline News, hosting the show. That's when I first met him. We became friends. Not friends like you and I are, but we were still friends. We met in person. I remember when you guys were uncovering what was on Hunter Biden's laptop. Let me set the scene. I think you'll think this is funny. I get a call, and it's Bernie Carrick, who didn't necessarily call me at night generally, but it's like 9 o'clock at night. I'm sitting around with my wife and kids, and I've got all daughters. And we're watching TV, and I hit the speaker. I answer, hey, Bernie, what's going on? He goes, Joe. And he starts explaining it like in the most graphic terms what you guys were uncovering on this laptop. And I went, I'm trying to hit the speaker and shut it up. My kids are all sitting there. It's Bernie Carrick. Don't worry about it. I ran to the other room and I took it. It was hilarious what he was telling me and very serious. I was glad that he was letting me know what you guys were investigating and what you were finding. And then I met him in person in Mar-a-Lago. Just a really good dude. Just a really all-American. You and he saved New York and saved America in 2001. I didn't call you when he passed. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to bother you. I figured you'd be inundated. But just give me some thoughts on Bernie. I couldn't believe that he was gone. Like he said, he lived a longer life than Charlie Kirk, but I still think he was gone too soon, Rudy.
No, he was a young man. I mean, he had, and I guess didn't know it, but he was otherwise in great shape.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was called by his son, I think, or his wife, I think his son first informed me that he was in the hospital, and they told me his body had shut down. I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah.
So I called Dr. Maria right away. I said, Maria, how can your body shut down? She said, that can happen. And they said he's going to come out of it. And she didn't say it on the phone, but then when she came to see me, she said, be prepared for the worst.
Wow.
And he lasted about 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
It was so fast, Rudy, like out of the
blue. Went back and forth. They still don't know exactly what it is.
I interviewed him once, and he was sweating, and he had like a towel over his shoulder. I said, what are you doing? He said, I just got done working out. The guy was like a bull. He was in very good shape. It just all of a sudden, some sort of a heart condition or something, I guess. But it was just unbelievable to me. And to see him go away, I just thought to myself, wow, this is like a different era for America, because that guy is half of the reason we're still here. I mean, literally without you two, and we thought we lost you guys that day. We weren't sure for a minute whether you and Bernie survived it.
Well, the two of us, I would say he saved my life, and he would say that I saved his life.
And you saved all of our lives.
When other people were getting confused and upset, we would kind of look at each other and stay focused. And we had an ability to work together as lawyer and investigator. I mean, we did a lot of good work in foreign countries. We reduced crime in Medellin by 65%.
Wow. That's stunning.
You know, it's all the same programs. I could take out the 1981-82 book by James Q. Wilson and Governor Thompson that was done for Ronald Reagan about how to reduce violent crime. And it's all the things that Donald Trump is doing.
So you're saying
like,
it
how
works?
About more
you're saying
how
it works?
About we start with... I remember one of my geniuses said this. We had some silly witness like we have now. I mean, you can have too many cops on the street. It'll cause too much crime. One of my geniuses, I've forgotten who it was.
Wow.
On the panel said, that's a great idea. We'll put the cops in prison and we'll put the prisoners on the street.
Right.
We'll see
right.
what happens.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid.
That's essentially what we've done.
Right. But then you take over D.C. and you show you can still do it. Let me ask you before I let you go, because I'd be an idiot not to. Mandami looks good for New York City mayor, which makes me sick. He's a socialist, wants to take over the grocery stores, wants to tax people through the nose where they're going to run out of the state. The guy is trying to take over in a very progressive socialist way the biggest and best city in this country. Rudy, I fear that he's going to win. What does that look like to you?
Probably my worst nightmare. I left New York about a little over a year ago. I was very sad. I spent the last 3 or 4 years in New York, walking the streets, sort of helping people adjust. They'd come up to me and say, Mayor, what can we do about this? Mayor, They'd come up to me and say, I'm a Democrat. I would say, well, do you vote? Well, I don't vote anymore because it doesn't do any good. And I said, well, that's the problem.
Definitely.
People don't vote anymore. New York has given up. The people, like Chicago, look, 65 years Democratic rule in Chicago. They had a good weekend this weekend. Only 4 people got killed and 27 got shot.
Wow. Crazy.
I mean, we've had weekends of war less than that. Of course, they had a weekend 2 weeks ago where 12 got killed and 62 got shot. I mean, and this has been going on for 60 years, and they vote for the same people.
Rudy, we're from Metro New York. We know how New Yorkers are. I think of New Yorkers like you, like me, like my cousins, like my grandfather, like my dad, my mom, from Belmore, from Copeg, from Amityville. I mean, we think of these are good, hard-working, blue-collar American people. Why the bleep do Democrats get control of places like that? Or is it complacency? They're not voting? Because New Yorkers, if you go to Staten Island, especially right now, they're pulling their hair out. Why does it end up like this? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Are they cheating? What's going on?
Are they cheating?
Was that a dumb question? Sorry.
Does the moon come out at night?
I hear you.
They invented cheating.
Yeah.
With Boss Tweed.
Right.
I mean, they invented city corruption. Is the city corrupt? Well, how the hell does it have how does it have a budget that's larger than the entire state of Florida?
Right.
And less than half as many people, because it has to produce a lot of kickback money. Yeah, New York City is corrupt as hell. And the courts are a disgrace.
Yeah, ridiculous.
The Democratic leaders, the county leaders, put them on the bench. Anger Moron was put on by Keith Wright 3 times. Nobody ever ran against him. He ran in 3 elections, but they couldn't find one opponent to run against him. So that's really an elected judge?
Yeah, no.
And you don't think that the Democratic leader can't pull his... Of course he can.
Yeah. I'm with you. But somehow you won and George Pataki won, and New York said, hey, happy days are here again. Let's start voting for idiots again. I don't get it. Like for 1 second, they were cogent, and they said, let's get the right guy in there. And you fixed it just in time for somebody else to come and ruin it? It makes me crazy. I don't get it. I just don't.
I think it could happen. I think it could happen with the right candidate, but it has to be a candidate that can bring new people. There are certain candidates that can bring new, like that's how Trump won, right?
Yeah.
He brought new people. If Trump had just been stuck with the old people that were in the Bush elections and the Obama, he would have lost.
Yeah.
Trump won both times by bringing new people in. You need New York is going to need a dynamic candidate like that. Here are the 3 Republicans in the 20th century: LaGuardia,
yes,
who was a great candidate; Lindsay, who became a Democrat, but he was like the second coming of John Kennedy.
Yeah.
And me.
Yeah.
And I was a hero prosecutor. I had a 90% approval rating when I started running.
Wow. Why can't Curtis win, Rudy? He bleeds New York blue.
Because they typecast him. Curtis should win. Curtis
As
would be
what?
a damn good mayor.
As a crime fighter, that's a pretty good typecast.
But they don't see him that. They see him as he's still the kid with the hat on, going out, and half of them have been convinced by the jerks that he's some kind of vigilante, which he's not.
No.
Curtis has a whole other message about how many kids he saved.
Yeah.
It's not only did these kids help reduce crime in New York, these are kids that were headed for crime.
Right.
And they've had wonderful lives as a result of him. This is a really good man, but he got pigeonholed. And in politics, when you get pigeonholed, if he had 50 million, he could work himself out of the pigeonhole. But that's what you would need. You would need 50 million. And, Bloomberg, it took Bloomberg $100 million to get elected.
Of his own money. If he didn't have the money, he probably wouldn't have.
100%. He only won his last election by 4%. He spent $100 million. The Democrats spent $7.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It is Rudy Giuliani CS. We love the time. We love the access. I love your friendship. You're like family to me, Rudy. I'm glad that you're on the mend. I'm glad that you're able to do this today. And keep on getting stronger. We need you.
We need you too. God bless you.
Thank you so much. That's it for Unshaken Unafraid with Joe Pags this time. Back with another one very soon. Make sure you subscribe.